I'm Tanya. My full name's Tanya. I'm more known as Tanya. I'm a Baguio girl. I'm an IP, Indigenous person, Ibaloy, Ifugao, and Boto, and a heritage ko. And I have a science course as a background. I was also a government employee for some time with the peace process and with Anti-Poverty Commission. But right now, I am the executive director of an NGO, non-governmental organization. And I'm also the youngest member of the National Council of NAMFREL. This is National Movement, Citizens Movement for Free and Fair Elections. So that's who I am. Most importantly, I'm a Filipino citizen.
Okay.
So all of that makes that up. And then what do I do? Okay, with my hat as executive director of InsightCo, basically what we're trying to do is to open the black box of government. People don't normally understand how government works, and to open it up to citizens. We feel that in opening up this black box of government that we don't understand, we're able to make government more accountable, more transparent, more responsive to what citizens need, and a better steward of this nation. We also work to bring the citizens closer to government because we think that we have so many talented Filipino citizens. We're such a bright population. We're such an innovative culture. We're just right now not that interested in helping government. So that's one thing that InsightCo is trying to do. It has 4 partner constituencies, but I'm going to talk to this group in particular about one that's very close to what you are as young leaders. It's called the Young Public Servants. And the Young Public Servants are a group of young Filipinos aged 18 to around 35. They're all either students, yuppies, businessmen, entrepreneurs, former government employees like myself. I'm a young public servant, or people in government who are also young. So, and this partner constituency of InsightCo, what we do with them is try to engage the Filipino citizen of that age to become more involved with nation building. We have this belief that we shouldn't look at ourselves as youth as a sector of the population, because we are the population. We make up, people who are 18 to 35 make up, I think, about 51% of the population. So pag sinabi mong, I'm a young Filipino citizen and you're 18 to 35, you should actually be saying, I'm a Filipino citizen because I represent 51% of the people in this country. Yeah. So my needs, my visions, my dreams, my goals, my aspirations, my problems, my challenges, these are mostly what would be the same with about 51% of this country. So we think that by engaging this particular age group, we are reaching out to the people who we think should engage government, have a lot more to invest in terms of time, expertise, passion, idealism. At the same time, these are also the people who will benefit from it in the longer run, kasi we'll be alive longer than most other people in the Philippines. So yeah, so that's basically who I am and what I do right now. Yeah. For YPS, one of the biggest programs it had was called Youth Vote Philippines. Google it, Youth Vote Philippines. And it was a campaign that was launched for the 2010 elections. And it brought together around 22 youth organizations. And these are youth organizations who wouldn't normally work with each other. Pero nagkasama-sama sila. And para ang itsura niya is you had 22 friends standing around in a circle, facing outward with the same message. So we're talking to as many youth as we could in different places in the Philippines through different organizations from national to local. At simple lang yung calls namin. If you are youth, you go out and register. You know your candidate. And we based the looking at the candidate on the Millennium Development Goals. These are 7 goals which were deemed by the whole world, I think 180 countries, to be the most important issues that face people right now: education, poverty, livelihood, health, infectious diseases, maternal health, children. If you look at your candidate based on those, then you'll know how responsive he is to the issues that affect you the most. So you go out, you register, you look at your candidate according to the Millennium Development Goals. You build a youth agenda, meaning you know what, as I said a while ago, 51% of the population find important. And then you go out and vote. And then the fourth component of that program was you use technology. We had an online portal for the youth to engage with each other and to post their comments about the candidates who posted on our website about the Millennium Development Goals, because we think that specifically for our generation, Youth 2.0, if we do not use technology, we're missing out on a very big tool that I think we know the best. We know how to use the best. So that's one example of the aspirations of what my work is trying to do. We want to get the youth involved. We want to get them to know that no matter where they are, what they do, what they believe in, their goals, what their goals are, they will always find something in common with 51% of the population. And if they don't contribute to the country on the basis of that commonness with 51% of the population, they're missing out on being part of this move to make the Philippines better. For Insight Goal, the parent organization that I work with, one example that I'll give is we're trying to explain the national budget process to citizens. Ano yan? Nosebleed yan. How does the government allocate money for the many priorities it has to have, and how can we make sure it's not lost to corruption, or it's not misallocated. For example, how much should we really be spending on education? And once we decide how much, will it really go to the school building that it was supposed to be allocated for? Do the kids get the textbooks that were promised when it was put into the budget? So, mahabang proseso to of teaching citizens how to read this line-by-line budget of the government. But it's gaining traction. I think some of you will read in the newspapers a lot of news that's coming out about an open budget, how CSOs are becoming part of watching this government's budget, and I'm proud to say that Insight Gov is leading that. So that's, and then what we aspire to do with that is, because it's precisely alam niyo naman yung where you put your money is, you're most effective when you put your money where your mouth is. Diba? So for example, like any family's budget, kung hindi mo lalagyan ng pera yan, walang mangyayari. Kung walang pera si nanay para sa pagkain or pagpunta sa ospital, kung nagkasakit ka, diba, that's gonna affect the whole family. So ganun din. Now we think na once the citizen gets to understand this process of how our taxes, actually, it's our money anyway, is being spent by the government, then we make the government more accountable to us. But we also become more interested in government because we know it's delivering services to us. I think that's the second example. The last example would be, it's more the politics of it. And this is the most interesting part, if you ask me. It's trying to get citizens to move beyond having to vote for somebody that they're scared of, or somebody who gives them money, or somebody who they have to vote for because that's what their community tells them to vote for, into citizens who discuss among themselves who or what they want to see in a leader, and then vote accordingly and get the leaders that they can actually admire and support and engage after they become leaders. So, ano yan eh, magmula barangay, hanggang munisipyo, hanggang Congress, hanggang national president, it is possible to build a relationship with your public official. But you only can do that if you start with valuing the vote that was given to you. Yun yung maganda sa Pilipinas, bawat isang tao may vote, hindi yun pwedeng alisin sa'yo. But if you don't value that vote and you don't base it on either what you find important as a person or what you want to happen to your community, it's very hard, it's very easy for you to lose that vote. Whether it's because somebody else will use it for you by coercion or by paying for it, or you lose it because you don't value it and you don't do the vote. I started out exactly by saying I was a Baguio girl, Ibaloy, Katutubungan, Ifugao. I went into a science course and I ended up in government, and then I'm now in civil society. So I think the biggest takeaway from this is that your contribution to the nation is not always planned, but when your goals and your passions and your interests in life direct you where to go, you will always find a certain niche or a certain way na lalabas din dyan yung how you can help the nation, ganyan. So parang ako, the most important thing I guess is that you know first who you are and you become comfortable with that. I'm very comfortable in my identity as an indigenous person. I'm very comfortable with the skills that I learned from my scientific training. When I went into government, I learned that it is such a powerful institution, but it should be also such an accountable institution. And so all of this, parang it just keeps deepening and deepening and forming the base of the identity of the citizen who I am, as a Filipino citizen. So parang yun, anchor your identity and your passions on who you are, what you value, what's the community around you, and then once that is very clear to you, I think, especially with this group, na the way you described to me, kasi these are really, achievers, merit scholars, probably future leaders in their own right. They will have to find where they anchor their identity, and then yun, let everything else fly, soar. You will find what you can contribute to this nation. I cannot dictate on you that you have to go into politics or you have to go into government, but it's really knowing why you value the Philippines. Kaya nga identity, because dun mo huhugutin yung what you can eventually do wherever your path may take you.